Are baby back rib chips good? When will GTA 6 release? And what new games have been announced? Well, I talk about all that and more on this episode of the Toddcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Toddcast. As always, I am your host, Todd McManus, on the first ever episode to premiere on Fridays. That's right. It's a new episode and a new day of the week. As for those of you who do not know, if you've not listened to any previous episode, if this is your first episode, welcome to the Toddcast. As like I said, I'm your host, Todd, and this podcast is now available every Friday. New episodes every Friday at 7 a.m. Central Time. So if you going to work on a Friday or doing anything on Friday mornings, you will be able to listen to the Toddcast on your way to work or at home, wherever you really want to. But like I said, every Friday is now the new day of the week that each new episode will be premiering on. With, of course, the YouTube version of the Toddcast will go up on the following Sunday, 2 days later after the newest episode has premiered. So, like I said, this episode will be on Friday, January the 12th. And then this episode will then premiere on YouTube 2 days later on Sunday, January the 14th. So just remember that in the future if you want to check out the YouTube version of these episodes. The link is down in the description. It'll take you to my YouTube channel, and you can check out all the videos on there on the YouTube version if you'd rather listen on YouTube, as well as more content coming in the future. So with that being said, and this is episode 210, we're also been celebrating 4 years last week, which is such a big deal. The 4-year anniversary actually just happened on the 11th, which is kind of a big deal, to be able to say that the first episode was now 4 years ago. I'm actually going to go look back and go way back to see what episode 1 was. January 11th, 2010, I talked about different movies and video games. I talked about, that was around the time I actually watched Breaking Bad for the first time. And whenever the first season of The Mandalorian was on Disney Plus, and I reviewed that. That's such a long time ago. That 4 years have gone by about me talking about random things that I like and some things that I don't like, reviewing drinks and chips and any other snacks, having many, many different guests on. And to be able to say that I've been going for 4 years with a new episode every week to be on episode 210 right now is such a big accomplishment, something I never thought that I would be able to do or even get done. I'm sure all of you who are listening probably know the story of how I started a podcast, but if you don't know the story, I'll just go ahead and give it to you. So at the end of 2019, I was still in college at the time, actually, doing in-person classes because COVID had not really kicked off and started yet. We weren't in lockdowns until March of 2020. So whenever COVID started in December 2019, that's not right. Whenever I was in 2019, way back in college, we had this final assignment in one of my English classes, which was British literature. And our teacher, he wanted us to get in groups and for us to do an assignment, which was just as a final, this was our assignment. And what we did was that we got all together and had to basically talk about what assignments we had throughout the semester from August till December, and different books and stuff that we talked about, that we had to write papers about, that we had to take tests about, Basically, stuff like that. So any story or work of literature that you studied during that class period time, at the end of the semester, the final was to basically record a podcast, come up with a name for your podcast. It doesn't have to be too long. And you just had to get together of a group of 3 or a group of 4 and talk about what you liked, what was good about it, and basically just record like 10 or 15 minutes is all you had to do. So me and 3 other people got together and we recorded it in a room in the library at ULM. And it was fun. You know, I mean, we kind of didn't know what we were doing at the time, of course. And it ended up being really good. And then we had to give a small presentation about it in class, which was funny, to say the least. It was kind of interesting, I will say that. But before that, I was thinking to myself, because I was like, I want something to do. When I leave college, I come home, and I was still living with my parents at the time, all the way through my college career, or my college time. And I wanted to, have kind of like a hobby, I guess, or something that I wanted to go into, because I had already been interested in radio, and doing a radio show or hosting on a radio network was something I thought I could do. I have a voice, everybody has a voice, of course, but I have, I think, a pretty noticeable voice, and a voice that people can hear, and, it doesn't sound like anybody else, really. And people can hear my voice and be able to tell, oh, I know who that is. And I had many different people tell me, oh, you'd be great for radio, or you could do, stuff on YouTube or stuff like that, or voice acting for stuff, and be that guy, the Southern guy, And so I was interested in doing radio because my favorite genre of music is rock music. And I was thinking, I could do for the rock station, for our local rock station we had. And our college, ULM, actually has its own radio station. And I thought over and over many times, I was like, what? I think I might do it. I would like to do it. It'd be cool. And I just thought I could do it. And if I did it, I really do think I could have done it. But after thinking about it, doing a podcast was more fun and I guess more freeing, really, because it has unlimited potential, and anything that happens on this podcast is 100% my decision and up to me. That I'm the one who decides it, because I own this podcast. It is mine. It is what I do with it is what I want to do, what I need to do, and anything like that. Because when you're working on a radio show, of course, you're just the host. You're just there. You talk, you play the music, and that's it. There's a whole network. There's people above you. So that's why a podcast is more freeing, because you can just start a podcast, talk about whatever you like, and then people that like the same things will go towards that. And that's how it kind of started, was during that time in December 2019, that once we did that final assignment was when I was going away from doing radio and leaning more towards starting my own podcast. Because I was like, it's not that hard. More and more podcasts were starting to show up before it eventually became a meme that, oh, well, everybody has a podcast now. And it's true. Everybody does have a podcast. Podcasting is kind of like the new YouTube channel. Or kind of like Vine. Like Vine, everybody had a Vine. Everybody wanted to post Vines and become famous. And then everybody got a TikTok and wanted to post TikToks and become famous. And podcasts are kind of that way too, because your podcast doesn't have to be video. That you don't have to, mine isn't. I've been doing this for 4 years now, and mine doesn't have a video portion of it at all. If you don't know me personally, or don't, and if you don't look up the Instagram and see any of the pictures, anybody who listens to this just has no clue what I look like. And I don't know, being faceless like that is kind of, it might be more entertaining. I don't know how some people would think about that, because all the podcasts I listen to, I know what they look like. So it's, it's different like that. But yeah, once that happened in December 2019, I started thinking about it more and more and more. And then eventually it came into January. I started my own podcast page. I downloaded the Anchor app because I was downloading apps, trying to figure it out. And it was during Christmas and New Year's break of December 2019 going into January 2020 was when I was thinking about it more and more. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I was like, this is what I want to do. I just want to do it. I want to try it, see if it works. And what I did is that I got the Anchor app downloaded onto my phone, that I used to do sponsorships for all the time. But now they're owned by Spotify, so it's different now. But I downloaded it. I ended up coming up with an episode. I was like, okay, how do I want to come up with an episode? And so I just kind of, I watched many different YouTubers that I'm a fan of and just took them as inspiration of what I should do and see, okay, they say this. Well, I'm going to say this in a different way and say it like this, and I'm going to do this, And there's been many different ideas of how it was going to be and what was going to happen. I didn't know if I wanted to do every week. I thought about doing more than one a week, which would have been a lot. It was a job at that point. But I had the idea of doing one a week or one every other week, only like 2 or 3 a month. And I said, no, I can't do that because I need, to produce more content, because that's how you get out there. You produce a lot of content, you're going to get caught, and you're going to be, people are going to catch on to you, and then you're going to get more famous. And then that's how you make money, because I thought if I could make it like my job and make money out of it, then, you're making money by doing something that you like to do. So that was my idea going into it. So what I did after I downloaded the app and came up with what I wanted to talk about, I ended up driving to Walmart at like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. I sat in the Walmart parking lot in my truck and recorded the first episode that ended up being about 30 minutes long. And that's how it was born. That's just kind of how it happened. And then from then on, I had the idea, which is the reason guests are even on, is that I knew towards the beginning, I was like, I want to have guests. I want to see if I can have a guest on. And I was like, okay, well, how do I want to do it? Do I want to just have them on whenever I want, on random episodes? Do I want them on every week, every other week? And then it ended up being born about having them on every other week, because after I posted that I had a podcast and that the first episode was available on January 11th, 2020, which I posted it on a Saturday at noon. That was the time that I posted it. Not that good of a time, it needs to be posted in the morning. That way you can wake up and listen to it. But I had different friends and people that I knew that said that they wanted to be on. Could they be a guest? And those were the first guests that I had, were just friends from school and friends that I had, because I didn't know, I could just have a conversation with them about anything. And I was like, okay, well, I want to have a conversation with them and just basically put a microphone there. And then that's a podcast. That's all it is. So Jaron was the first ever guest on episode 2. And so that's when that idea was born, that I was going to have a guest on every even number episode, on 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and so on, because just me episodes by myself are episodes 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, and so on, are the odd number episodes. And the funny way to come up with that I had that idea, is that I'm going to be by myself on all the odd number episodes, because odd is in my name, because my name is Todd. And so the word odd is in my name. So I was like, well, it kind of fits that I'm the only person and I do my own episodes on the odd number episodes, because odd is in my name. So that's kind of how I came up with that idea. And so Jaron was on episode 2, and let me go back to here and scroll all the way down. And then we had episode 4 was with Jacob Smith, who was a friend of mine. He's been a friend of mine for a long time. Episode 6 was Zach Charbonneau. That was his only episode that he was on. It was a great episode. And then episode 8 was John Wright. And John has been a great friend, and he's been on multiple episodes. He's been on almost every episode that ended with an 8. And I knew I wanted recurring guests, and that's why Jaron and John kind of stuck around, because, they're good friends of mine, and I can just have a great conversation with them. Because the conversations we have on here are pretty similar to the conversations we have with each other, that we'll just talk about food or just the most random things we think of, or like a movie. That's just what we talk about, and that's, what we do. So yeah, that's just kind of how it all came together. And then, if you go back and listen since episode 1 and listen all the way through, it's kind of, the story writes itself, and from then on. And then I knew that I wanted a big guest for episode 10 when I came around, and that's why I got Dr. Bruno, who was the current dean of ULM at the time. And I said, that's a big deal, because I was like, he's the dean. He'll do it for me because I'm a student of ULM, and he's the dean of the school I go to. So I said, he can do that for me. And that was the first time I ever met him. And then literally the day after that was when COVID happened. And that if COVID never would have happened, I don't know where this podcast would be. I'm pretty sure I would still be doing it, but because of COVID, it changed everything and changed different plans that I had. Because I was going to interview and talk with a lot of different people, even though I still did. It would have been very different because of protocols and the 6 feet away and stuff like that. Just changed how it was. And yeah, if COVID wouldn't have happened, I don't know if I would even be doing this podcast or not. I have no clue. It would be a very different world if COVID never happened. So, but I'm very grateful and very glad about where we are at now with this podcast. I am very glad it is still going on, and I plan to still keep it going, for the foreseeable future. Will it end? One day, but that day ain't today. And so we're going to keep on pushing through. We're going to keep on going through. Many things have happened. The past 4 years, I graduated college. I've worked at one job. I'm working at a second job. I got a girlfriend, ended up getting engaged and married and moved in all within 4 years. So it's quite a lot to happen in those 4 years, and that's what's happened. So, yeah. A lot has happened in 4 years, and I'm very glad, and I want to thank all of you who have been around, whether this is your first episode or you've been around since episode 1. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sticking around, even though those first episodes were a little rough, and I definitely think and definitely know for 100% certainty that the episodes nowadays are a lot better than the early episodes. It's a little cringy to go back and listen to those sometimes, but maybe, hey, that might be an episode in the future. I might do a video on that at some point about going back and listening to 4 years ago about what we talked about. So yeah, thank all of you for sticking around. But with all of that being out of the way, 4 years is a long time to wait for things. But a longer amount of time to wait for things is 12 years. And 12 years is going to be the difference between the Grand Theft Auto games that have been coming out. GTA 5 released September 2013. GTA 6, that we have had a trailer come out in December, will be releasing in the year 2025 and will be located back in good old Vice City. I've been waiting for Vice City. I kind of knew after GTA 5 happened that Vice City would be the next place that they would go to. The trailer is wild. It's only a minute and a half, and it's interesting to say the least. It'll be 2 protagonists. I think the guy's name is Jason, I want to say. And then you also can play as Lucia, and she is the first ever female protagonist in the GTA world. So it's very interesting to be going back to Vice City, and it's going to be a huge map, huge game. The game is going to be great. Just the very idea that GTA 6 is coming is just awesome. It's very good. The trailer itself got well over 100 million views within a few days of it being out, and it's just going to be great. So I'm very much looking forward to that game, and I know a lot of people worldwide are looking forward to it as well. So the Game Awards happened back in December that I definitely forgot about because it came out. That happened the same week as the GTA 6 trailer. A few games were announced, though. I would like to say that Marvel is making a game called Blade, of course, and it's being made by Bethesda, which is also very interesting, and I'm looking forward to that. But also the company called Hello Games, they made No Man's Sky, which ended up turning out being a really good game. They're now making a new game called Light No Fire, which is an interesting title, but they're kind of going with, multiplayer, but on one big planet. And the way they did with No Man's Sky, there's pretty much an unlimited amount of potential with Light No Fire. Yes, the game may not be good at first, but this game is probably going to end up being a really good multiplayer, 2 years after its release, just like how No Man's Sky was, and kind of like how Cyberpunk is as well. So, but I'm looking forward to those games and any other games that are coming out soon as well. It's just going to be a great year for games. 2025 is going to be a great year for entertainment as a whole, with movies and games. It's just going to be so good. So, with all that out of the way, I think it is time for a little bit of a chip review. I've got 2 bags of chips here. The first one we're going to be trying is Hers Baby Back Ribs Chips. So let me open the bag real quick. Let's see. Hers chips. Interesting. These are 380 calories. 4 grams of sugar, 4 grams of protein, and 41 grams of carbs in this entire bag of chips. Ooh, that smell isn't too bad. It's a smoky smell. It smells pretty good. So let's go ahead and get one out. Oh, these chips are big. Hers chips are pretty big, ladies and gentlemen. So I got a decent sized chip here. These are baby back rib chips. Let's go ahead and give them a try. Okay. Interesting. Oh, that's pretty good, actually. That's not bad. That is not bad at all, to be honest with you. Got a good smoky flavor to it. I like those. Those are good. Baby back rib chips. You have outdone yourself, honestly. That's better than I thought they were going to be honest with all of you. Hers baby back rib chips, on the scale from 0 to 100 with no decimals, I'm actually going to give them an 84. That's a really good chip. It's a chip that you wouldn't expect to be good, but I mean, I got these from a gas station, and they're some of the best gas station chips you can find out there. Baby back rib chips. That's just an interesting flavor, but it works. It's really good. If you like barbecue chips and you like a smoky flavor on the chips, these are really good. So you should definitely give these a try if you can find them. So, and they're Hers baby back rib chips. The next thing we have is also Hers brand, which is HERR''S, by the way. These are Hers fire roasted sweet corn Mexican street corn, and it's popcorn. So it's basically Mexican street corn flavored popcorn in a bag. So it's got it. Oh, it just smells like popcorn in the bag, to be honest with you. So let's go ahead and grab one of these puppies. I got a decent one. I don't really smell anything about Mexican street corn, but Mexican street corn, fire roasted sweet corn, popcorn. Let's give it a try. Oh, Oh, interesting. Oh. Oh. Ugh. Oh, these are not that good. Ugh. At first, I thought these were going to be better than what they actually turned out to be honest with you. Oh, I had to try another one real quick. The flavor is subtle, but it picks up after you eat the popcorn. Interesting. Fire roasted sweet corn, Mexican street corn, popcorn. There's a lot of corn in there. It's got an interesting flavor. It's got some seasoning to it and some spices because it is a little spicy a little bit after you eat it. But you don't get that flavor, like I said, until after it's gone. You eat the whole piece of popcorn, then it's just gone. So, Mexican street corn popcorn, I'm definitely giving you probably just a 60 because the spiciness is there and it's not that good. I think I'd have to eat like a whole handful to be able to get enough flavor of it, but I don't really want to do that because it's probably going to hurt my stomach. So, yeah, Mexican street corn popcorn with a 60, and the Hers baby back rib chips at a very high 84, which was surprising, to be honest with you. I didn't expect it to be that high of a score for those baby back rib chips, but they turned out really good. I might have me another one right now, honestly. Oh. That was a big one. But yeah, these are good. If you want to try either of these, I found them at a Circle K gas station. So if you want to go look at your local Circle K or any other gas station that you have by you to go check these out. Mexican street corn, popcorn, and baby back rib chips. All of the same brand from the brand Hers. Good baby back rib chips. Not so good popcorn. But that's up for you to decide. So, with all that being said, I think that's going to be the end of this episode. And to wrap up 4 years of the Toddcast, still going strong. I want to thank all of you for listening for 4 years and staying strong right alongside me. It's been one heck of a ride so far, but we're only getting started from here. So thank all of you for listening, and as always, please rate and subscribe. And if you're listening on YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe, and click that bell to get notified when new videos are uploaded. Make sure you follow the Toddcast on Instagram for all your updates and Toddcast needs. Tell your friends and family to give it a listen, and thank all of you once again for listening to this episode. And if you want to know what's going to happen next week, well, you just got to tune in to find out. Only on the Toddcast.